The ice split with a thunderous crack that echoed across the frozen expanse, jolting Edward the penguin into a desperate slide. Selina the seal surged beneath the surface, her shadow slicing the water like a blade. Edward the penguin cried, "The ice betrays me faster than my feet can save me." The bitter wind tore across the bay, scattering snow like shards of broken glass, blinding his eyes as he stumbled forward. Victor the penguin shouted, "Run, Edward the penguin, before the shadow finds you." Edward the penguin's wings slapped against the ice, his body sliding, tumbling, his heart hammering in his chest. Iris the young chick wailed, "Edward the penguin, do not leave me alone." Eleanor the elder penguin cried, "Strength lives in instinct, Edward the penguin, follow the cracks, not the shadow." The sky darkened suddenly as storm clouds gathered, the world shifting into a monochrome blur of fear. The water rippled with menace, Selina the seal rising in jagged bursts, her teeth glinting like ivory blades. Edward the penguin screamed, "Every second counts, every breath is survival." The silence that followed was violent, the pause before the strike, the weight of death in waiting. Nature froze in cruel anticipation, leaving Edward the penguin suspended in the thin line between joy and terror. Edward the penguin stumbled across jagged ice, the storm clawing at his feathers. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Strength is not in speed but in knowing where the cracks end." Victor the penguin shouted, "The shadow hunts faster than thought." Iris the young chick cried, "Do not leave me behind." Selina the seal darted beneath the surface, her shadow slicing forward like fate itself. The storm thickened, snow lashing with cruel hands, silencing the cries. Edward the penguin screamed, "The world is breaking under every step." The bay groaned with pressure, the ice threatening to collapse. Eleanor the elder penguin warned, "Survival bends only to instinct." The storm howled with ferocity, shrouding the horizon in silver haze. Edward the penguin gasped, "My wings cannot outpace the darkness." Selina the seal thrashed below, carving through water with ruthless grace. Victor the penguin yelled, "The cracks will betray us." Eleanor the elder penguin replied, "The cracks will guide you if you read their truth." Iris the young chick whimpered, "The cold bites deeper than fear." The bay thundered with groans, fissures spreading outward like veins of despair. The sky split open, with lightning, flashing white, across the frozen sea. Edward the penguin stumbled on a ridge of ice, his breath sharp and ragged. Selina the seal rose in a violent surge, water exploding upward. Victor the penguin shouted, "She breaks the surface now." Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Calm yourself in chaos, or chaos will swallow you." Iris the young chick shrieked, "The shadow reaches the sky." Edward the penguin cried, "Each breath tears me apart." The storm thickened with merciless force, snow obliterating sight. The ground cracked beneath him, threatening to split open entirely. The bay fell silent for a single breath, time frozen as if waiting. Edward the penguin whispered, "The silence means the strike." Selina the seal hovered beneath the ice, her shadow like a phantom blade. Iris the young chick whimpered, "The silence is heavier than the storm." Victor the penguin called, "Do not stop, Edward the penguin, the shadow lives in silence." Eleanor the elder penguin warned, "Stillness is a lie, move before it breaks." The silence shattered as the ice groaned, splintering into chaos. Snow burst across the bay, and the shadow surged forward once more. The storm eased, leaving only the sound of water cracking beneath fragile ice. Edward the penguin slowed, chest heaving, fear etched into every movement. Edward the penguin whispered, "The silence after chaos is heavier than the chaos itself." Eleanor the elder penguin stepped closer, her gaze steady. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Strength grows when you listen to the ice." Iris the young chick huddled against Eleanor the elder penguin, her small body trembling. Iris the young chick cried, "The shadow never leaves my eyes." Victor the penguin snapped, "Fear weakens the feet, Edward the penguin." Edward the penguin closed his eyes for a moment, gathering what remained of courage. Edward the penguin said, "The cracks lead me where shadows cannot." Selina the seal circled beneath, her shadow reappearing like a curse. Selina the seal snarled through water, her shape cutting close. The horizon dimmed as clouds gathered again, promising more storms. Eleanor the elder penguin murmured, "The path of survival demands more than speed, it demands knowing what you protect." The fragile circle of life stood exposed on the ice. Edward the penguin slid to the side of a ridge, staring down at rippling shadows. Edward the penguin said, "The shadow breathes with the ice." Iris the young chick pressed against Eleanor the elder penguin's body, shivering. Iris the young chick whispered, "I hear the shadow in every crack." Eleanor the elder penguin tilted her head skyward. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Fear is the weight that drowns the heart." Victor the penguin flapped his wings impatiently. Victor the penguin snapped, "The shadow is no myth, it is teeth waiting." Edward the penguin stepped back from the ridge, trembling but unwilling to flee. Edward the penguin muttered, "The shadow lives because I stand." Selina the seal surged closer beneath, bubbles trailing from her body. The storm sky above painted the bay in shades of gray, silence pressing heavily. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "What you guard makes your path worthy." The ice beneath groaned, alive with warning. The bay stretched silent, broken only by the groan of ice sheets drifting apart. Edward the penguin pressed forward carefully. Edward the penguin said, "Every crack is a path, every path a choice." Iris the young chick whimpered softly, her eyes darting to water. Iris the young chick cried, "The water stares back at me." Eleanor the elder penguin lowered her gaze toward Edward the penguin. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Do not forget that fear speaks only to the weak heart." Victor the penguin edged forward with defiance. Victor the penguin shouted, "Fear sharpens me more than calm ever will." Selina the seal shifted below, her shape twisting like smoke. Edward the penguin breathed deeply, his steps small, his focus sharp. Edward the penguin muttered, "My breath belongs to the fight, not the shadow." Clouds pressed lower, a dim silver veil covering the bay. Eleanor the elder penguin murmured, "Guard what trembles, and you guard yourself." Wind pushed across the ice, carrying the scent of salt and fear. Edward, the penguin, staggered forward, his beak parted with exhaustion. Edward the penguin whispered, "Every breath burns in the cold." Eleanor the elder penguin walked slowly behind him. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Endurance is written into the bone of survival." Iris the young chick stumbled, falling onto her belly. Iris the young chick wailed, "The ground eats me alive." Victor the penguin hissed with scorn. Victor the penguin shouted, "Weakness drags us down faster than the shadow." Edward the penguin turned sharply, eyes narrowed. Edward the penguin growled, "Weakness is not in stumbling, it is in abandoning the stumble." Selina the seal darted beneath, her motion breaking the surface with bubbles. The horizon shivered with another storm brewing. Eleanor the elder penguin said softly, "Survival binds, when we do not leave what is fragile behind." The storm paused once more, as if the world waited for choice. Edward, the penguin, stood still, his body trembling yet unbroken. Edward the penguin said, "The shadow wants fear, but I will not feed it." Iris the young chick pressed close to Eleanor, the elder penguin. Iris the young chick whispered, "Edward the penguin is the only wall between me and the dark." Eleanor the elder penguin closed her eyes. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "The wall stands because of what it carries, not what it blocks." Victor the penguin scoffed with disdain. Victor the penguin sneered, "The wall will fall and take us all." Edward the penguin lifted his wings, staring down at the shadows circling below. Edward the penguin cried, "The wall holds because it must." Selina the seal brushed beneath the ice, her shape looming. The storm clouds closed overhead, sealing the bay in dim light. The bay shook with a deep crack as ice fractured into violent shards. Edward the penguin staggered, breath ragged, wings spread wide. Edward the penguin shouted, "The ground tears itself apart beneath me." Selina the seal surged closer under the breaking ice, her dark outline twisting like a phantom. Selina the seal hissed in water, her shape darting faster with each turn. Iris the young chick stumbled on splintered snow, eyes wide with terror. Iris the young chick screamed, the shadow chases the cracks themselves. Victor the penguin sneered from higher ground. Victor the penguin yelled, "The weak fall first, Edward the penguin." Eleanor the elder penguin raised her beak, calm, despite the chaos. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "The cracks lead both to death and to salvation." Edward the penguin breathed hard, his chest pounding. Edward the penguin muttered, "My breath fights against the storm, my steps fight against the shadow." The horizon collapsed into blizzard, snow swirling into a violent wall. The wind screamed across the bay, tearing at every feather and flake. Edward the penguin slid desperately across a widening fissure. Edward the penguin cried, "The world splits faster than my body can run." Selina the seal thrust her head upward, water exploding like shattered glass. Selina the seal snarled, "The cracks are mine to follow." Iris the young chick shrieked from behind Eleanor the elder penguin. Iris the young chick cried, "The ice itself is hunting us." Victor the penguin snapped his beak. Victor the penguin shouted, "The shadow rises, and still Edward the penguin stumbles." Eleanor the elder penguin leaned forward with command. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "The stumble does not break him, the will keeps him alive." Edward the penguin gasped again, wings beating. Edward the penguin whispered, "Will alone must carry me through storm and shadow." Lightning split the horizon, the world flashing white-blue. The blizzard thickened, turning the bay into a swirling prison of white. Edward the penguin slid forward, nearly vanishing into haze. Edward the penguin shouted, "The storm blinds more than fear." Selina the seal twisted beneath the surface, her shape flickering through ice like a ghost. Iris the young chick stumbled, tiny cries lost in the wind. Iris the young chick screamed, "The snow eats the sky." Victor the penguin flapped impatiently, his stance sharp with anger. Victor the penguin yelled, "A blind bird leads us to death." Eleanor the elder penguin pushed her weight against the snow. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "A blind bird with heart still leads truer than sight without courage." Edward the penguin gasped through icy air, frost forming around his beak. Edward the penguin whispered, "The shadow cannot see my fear if I bury it beneath ice." The wind howled in reply. The ice cracked violently, echoing like thunder across the bay. Edward the penguin collapsed onto his belly, sliding as snow blasted his face. Edward the penguin gasped, "The ground betrays me with every step." Selina the seal rose again, jaws snapping, water flying upward in savage arcs. Selina the seal snarled, "The weak fall when the cracks call." Iris the young chick wailed, stumbling forward blindly. Iris the young chick cried, "The cracks eat us whole." Victor the penguin smirked from the ridge. Victor the penguin shouted, "Better the shadow takes Edward the penguin than me." Eleanor the elder penguin glared, feathers bristling. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Survival that feeds on betrayal feeds nothing." Edward the penguin slid further, breath choking. Edward the penguin whispered, "Betrayal cuts deeper than shadow teeth." The bay trembled as cracks widened to black water. The bay shook violently as cracks linked into one massive fissure. Edward the penguin staggered, wings trembling from exhaustion. Edward the penguin shouted, "The ground disappears beneath me." Selina the seal glided nearer, her shadow enormous beneath thin ice. Selina the seal hissed, "The ice is my hunting ground." Iris the young chick collapsed to the snow, feathers coated in frost. Iris the young chick cried, "The cold steals my breath." Victor the penguin turned sharply, eyes burning with envy. Victor the penguin snapped, "If Edward the penguin falls, I rise in his place." Eleanor the elder penguin steadied Iris the young chick with a firm stance. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Those who rise on bones fall faster than storms." Edward the penguin dragged himself forward, chest heaving. Edward the penguin whispered, "I will not break where shadows want me broken." The storm roared in violent reply. The storm parted for a moment, revealing broken silence across the bay. Edward the penguin stood still, chest heaving. Edward the penguin whispered, "The shadow waits for me to fall." Selina the seal circled slowly beneath, her movements less savage than before. Selina the seal muttered, "Hunger does not wait, but hunger is not choice." Eleanor the elder penguin tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Even the hunter fights to survive." Iris the young chick pressed closer to Eleanor the elder penguin. Iris the young chick cried, "The hunter breathes as we breathe." Victor the penguin sneered with disbelief. Victor the penguin shouted, "No truth lives in a shadow." Edward the penguin's gaze softened for a breath. Edward the penguin murmured, "The shadow carries fear, but also burden." The wind fell quiet, leaving truth heavy in the air. The horizon revealed pale light, breaking through storm clouds. Selina the seal rose partly above the ice, eyes sharp but weary. Selina the seal hissed, "I fight the same storm that hunts you." Edward the penguin stared wide-eyed, frozen. Edward the penguin gasped, "The hunter bleeds under the same sky." Iris the young chick whimpered, her voice shaking. Iris the young chick cried, "The shadow speaks as we speak." Victor the penguin flapped his wings with scorn. Victor the penguin shouted, "Do not trust fangs that glisten." Eleanor the elder penguin nodded slowly, her tone firm. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Even teeth carry struggle." Edward the penguin lifted his wings with hesitation. Edward the penguin muttered, "Survival binds us in pain alike." The ice groaned, echoing the truth aloud. The bay fell into eerie calm, the storm's roar replaced by silence. Edward the penguin stepped closer to the ice's edge. Edward the penguin whispered, "The shadow hides wounds beneath water." Selina the seal turned, scars visible across her sleek body. Selina the seal said, "My hunger is not greed, it is the weight of survival." Iris the young chick tilted her head, trembling less. Iris the young chick murmured, "The shadow bleeds as we bleed." Victor the penguin hissed angrily. Victor the penguin snapped, "Compassion will break your wings." Eleanor the elder penguin stood firm, her feathers bristling. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Understanding does not weaken. It sharpens." Edward the penguin breathed deep, his fear shifting to solemnity. Edward the penguin said, "Survival binds predator and prey in the same chain." The frozen sea echoed with haunting stillness. Snowflakes drifted gently, soft against shattered ice. Edward the penguin stood between companions and hunter. Edward the penguin whispered, "The storm is not enemy nor ally. It is law." Selina the seal lowered her head, her breath fogging air. Selina the seal murmured, "The law spares no creature, not even hunters." Iris the young chick pressed against Eleanor the elder penguin's side. Nita Jowler penguin's side. Iris the young chick said, "The storm takes all, strong or weak." Victor the penguin lashed out with fury. Victor the penguin shouted, "Weakness is cloaked in pity." Eleanor the elder penguin raised her wings with calm. Eleanor the elder penguin said, "Pity is not weakness, it is knowledge." Edward the penguin's wings spread wide, trembling. Edward the penguin muttered, "We fight shadows not with rage, but with knowing." Silence deepened across the bay. The horizon glowed faintly, the storm breaking into quiet light. Edward the penguin gazed across the bay, his chest steady. Edward the penguin whispered, "The shadow teaches survival is never simple." Selina the seal submerged again, circling with slower, tired movements. Selina the seal muttered, "Even hunger bends beneath storms. Why?" Iris the young chick blinked, her cries replaced by silence. Iris the young chick murmured. The shadow is not only teeth. Victor the penguin stomped his feet in fury. Victor the penguin shouted, truth makes us blind to danger. Eleanor the elder penguin's voice rang firm. Eleanor the elder penguin said, truth does not blind, it clears. Edward the penguin closed his eyes, breath steady. Edward the penguin said, the cracks reveal not only death, but meaning. The bay shimmered faintly as clouds parted. The bay roared as ice split into gaping chasms, the storm returning with merciless force. Edward the penguin staggered, wings trembling. Edward the penguin shouted, the world tears itself open. Selina the seal surged upward, jaws wide, water exploding around her. Selina the seal snarled, the hunt ends now. Iris the young chick screamed from behind Eleanor the elder penguin. Iris the young chick cried, the cracks swallow us whole. Victor the penguin sneered, his stance sharp with ambition. Victor the penguin shouted, let the shadow take Edward the penguin, and I will lead. Eleanor the elder penguin stood tall, voice steady against chaos. Eleanor the elder penguin said, a leader born from betrayal leads only into death. Edward the penguin dragged himself across the trembling ice. Edward the penguin whispered, every breath is fire against the storm. The sky ripped open with thunder, shaking the frozen sea. The storm grew louder, drowning cries in endless roar. Edward the penguin slid across shattered ice, his chest heaving. Edward the penguin shouted, my breath cannot keep pace with death. Selina the seal lunged again, her body slicing water with furious strength. Selina the seal hissed, hunger does not forgive hesitation. Iris the young chick stumbled forward, her feathers soaked with icy spray. Iris the young chick cried, the storm eats me alive. Victor the penguin flapped angrily, his voice sharp. Victor the penguin yelled, the storm crowns the stronger. Edward the penguin will fall. Eleanor the elder penguin lifted her wings with fierce resolve. Eleanor the elder penguin said, strength does not come from fangs or fury, but from sacrifice. Edward the penguin gasped, forcing his body to move again. Edward the penguin whispered, sacrifice carries life through storms. Lightning cut the bay into white fire. The ice trembled under violent weight, water surging upward in bursts. Edward the penguin slipped, his body slamming against sharp shards. Edward the penguin cried, the ice cuts deeper than shadow teeth. Selina the seal rose, her jaws snapping inches from Edward the penguin's body. Selina the seal snarled, the prey falls when the cracks call. Iris the young chick shrieked, her tiny wings flapping helplessly. Iris the young chick screamed, Edward the penguin, do not fall. Victor the penguin stood above, eyes glinting with hunger for power. Victor the penguin shouted, fall, and your place becomes mine. Eleanor the elder penguin's cry broke through storm. Eleanor the elder penguin shouted, to stand against death is the truest fight. Edward the penguin slammed his wings against ice, forcing his body upward. Edward the penguin whispered, the cracks will not have me yet. The storm roared with violent fury. The storm reached its peak, snow blasting like knives across the bay. Edward the penguin stumbled forward, his vision blurred. Edward the penguin cried, my wings break beneath the storm. Selina the seal struck upward once more, her body twisting in savage power. Selina the seal roared, the storm feeds my hunger. Iris the young chick fell onto ice, her body trembling violently. Iris the young chick wailed, the storm steals my breath away. Victor the penguin shouted with cruel delight. Victor the penguin yelled, the shadow takes Edward the penguin now. Eleanor the elder penguin leapt forward, pushing Iris the young chick aside. Eleanor the elder penguin cried, life demands sacrifice. Edward the penguin turned, eyes widening as Eleanor the elder penguin braced herself against Selina the seal. Edward the penguin whispered, do not fall for me. The bay erupted with thunderous cracks. The bay shattered with a sound like breaking mountains. Eleanor the elder penguin collided with Selina the seal, her body forcing the predator aside. Eleanor the elder penguin shouted, "The storm will not take the innocent." Selina the seal thrashed, her jaws snapping in fury. Selina the seal hissed, "Sacrifice feeds the storm as well." Edward the penguin stumbled forward, his eyes burning with grief. Edward the penguin cried, "Eleanor, the elder penguin, do not fall for me." Iris the young chick sobbed, her voice breaking. Iris the young chick screamed, "Do not leave me." Victor the penguin smirked in shadow. Victor the penguin said, "Every sacrifice makes way for another to rise." Eleanor the elder penguin locked eyes with Edward the penguin for a final breath. Eleanor the elder penguin whispered, "Carry them beyond the storm." The crack swallowed her form, leaving silence. The storm broke at last, leaving only the echo of crashing waves against fractured ice. Edward the penguin stood trembling, feathers soaked. Edward the penguin whispered, "The silence after sacrifice is heavier than thunder." Iris the young chick sobbed, pressing into the snow. Iris the young chick cried, "Eleanor the elder penguin is gone." Victor the penguin smirked faintly, his eyes cold. Victor the penguin said, "The storm claims one, and the path clears for another." Edward the penguin turned, his gaze sharp despite sorrow. Edward the penguin shouted, "The path clears only because blood was spilled." Selina the seal lingered beneath water, circling slowly, her hunger dimmed by the weight of loss. Selina the seal murmured, "Sacrifice feeds even the hunter's silence." The horizon stretched wide, gray and endless, echoing the truth of nature's law. The bay groaned softly, no longer breaking but mourning. Edward the penguin lowered his wings, his body shaking with fatigue. Edward the penguin muttered, "Strength tastes of grief." Iris the young chick pressed close to his side, her eyes wide. Iris the young chick whispered, "Do not leave me like Eleanor the elder penguin." Victor the penguin laughed bitterly, wings snapping against the wind. Victor the penguin shouted, "The storm takes the weak first, the strong rise." Edward the penguin turned sharply, voice filled with fury. Edward the penguin cried, "Strength that rises on death crumbles faster than ice." Selina the seal broke the surface briefly, her eyes staring coldly. Selina the seal hissed, "Even grief cannot stop hunger forever." The light of dawn dimmed across the bay. Snow drifted lightly now, soft against the broken battlefield. Edward the penguin pressed forward, his steps unsteady. Edward the penguin whispered, "Each step carries weight left by Eleanor, the elder penguin." Iris the young chick stumbled beside him, feathers wet. Iris the young chick murmured, "Her voice still guides me." Victor the penguin followed closely, eyes sharp with ambition. Victor the penguin said, "Her fall clears the way for me." Edward the penguin snapped his wings, fury trembling through him. Edward the penguin shouted, "Her fall gives me reason to fight harder." Selina the seal circled slowly beneath, her presence constant. Selina the seal muttered, "Survival bends, but never breaks." The bay stretched far, quiet but endless. The wind quieted, leaving echoes across the frozen sea. Edward the penguin stopped, staring at cracks stretching like scars. Edward the penguin murmured, "The ice remembers her fall." Iris the young chick pressed closer, her body trembling. Iris the young chick whispered, "The silence hurts more than the storm." Victor the penguin stepped forward, wings raised defiantly. Victor the penguin shouted, "The silence crowns the survivor." Edward the penguin turned with sharp gaze, his body shaking yet unbroken. Edward the penguin said, "The silence honors sacrifice, not betrayal." Selina the seal lingered beneath, her shape faint under rippling water. Selina the seal hissed, "The silence feeds hunger as well." The pale sun bled faint light across the bay. The horizon blazed faint gold, the storm broken at last. Edward the penguin lifted his wings slowly, feathers torn but proud. Edward the penguin whispered, "The storm took Eleanor the elder penguin, but her strength remains. Iris the young chick cried softly, her eyes shining. Iris the young chick said, her sacrifice carries me through. Victor the penguin snarled with disdain. Victor the penguin shouted, sacrifice weakens the living. Edward the penguin turned sharply, eyes filled with fire. Edward the penguin cried, sacrifice keeps the living alive. Selina the seal drifted silently beneath the bay, her body fading into shadows. Selina the seal muttered, the storm spares none, prey or predator. The wind softened, leaving only the weight of truth. The bay fell silent, the storm finally dead. Edward the penguin stood alone on fractured ice, wings lowered in exhaustion. Edward the penguin whispered, the silence carries every cry that storm stole. Iris the young chick pressed into his side, her eyes wide and wet. Iris the young chick murmured, her voice lingers even though she is gone. Victor the penguin stood back, his sneer tempered by unease. Victor the penguin said, the shadow leaves scars deeper than storms. Selina the seal circled quietly beneath the surface, her motions slower than ever. Selina the seal hissed, the hunt fades, but hunger never dies. Edward the penguin closed his eyes, his chest trembling. Edward the penguin whispered, the silence is heavier than the storm itself. Snow drifted softly, covering scars across the ice. Edward the penguin lifted his gaze, eyes reflecting grief and determination. Edward the penguin said, the cracks remind me of Eleanor the elder penguin. Iris the young chick leaned close, her voice trembling. Iris the young chick whispered, her wings still guard us in silence. Victor the penguin flapped once, restless. Victor the penguin snapped, her fall was weakness dressed as sacrifice. Edward the penguin's gaze sharpened, fierce as storm winds. Edward the penguin shouted, her fall was strength born from love. Selina the seal surfaced briefly, her gaze locked on Edward the penguin. Selina the seal muttered, strength bleeds whether in prey or predator. The bay groaned but did not break. The horizon glowed faintly with pale fire as dawn spread. Edward the penguin stood tall despite exhaustion, his wings lifting slowly. Edward the penguin whispered, I carry the storm in every breath. Iris the young chick trembled but stared forward with him. Iris the young chick murmured, I carry her voice in every step. Victor the penguin turned sharply, eyes burning with ambition. Victor the penguin hissed, the storm crowns only the strongest wings. Edward the penguin turned his gaze on Victor the penguin, unwavering. Edward the penguin said, the storm crowns only those who endure its silence. Selina the seal drifted beneath them, fading into deeper water. Selina the seal muttered, endurance binds us all, even hunters. The light spread wider across the bay. The bay quieted into stillness, no storm, no roar, only breath. Edward the penguin stood at the center, feathers torn but eyes fierce. Edward the penguin whispered, every scar is proof of survival. Iris the young chick leaned close, eyes shining with tears. Iris the young chick said, every scar carries her memory. Victor the penguin stepped back, shadows in his gaze. Victor the penguin muttered, scars do not feed the living. Edward the penguin's voice cut through the cold. Edward the penguin said, scars feed strength the shadow cannot steal. Selina the seal's form shimmered faintly beneath water, silent but ever present. Selina the seal murmured, the scar belongs to prey and predator alike. The frozen sea seemed endless, echoing every word. The horizon flared in gold, final light scattering across broken ice. Edward the penguin stared forward, chest rising steady. Edward the penguin whispered, the storm ends, but the silence stays. Iris the young chick gazed up at him, eyes wide with fragile hope. Iris the young chick murmured, the silence carries her voice forever. Victor the penguin turned away, shadows hard in his expression. Victor the penguin said, the silence will crown another soon. Selina the seal sank deeper into water, her shadow vanishing into darkness. Selina the seal hissed, the silence feeds all who endure. Edward the Penguin spread his wings, his voice sharp and final. Edward the Penguin cried, "The silence is eternal." The bay echoed his words, fading into endless stillness.